Your patience is rewarded.
Tonight, 2 planeswalkers have been summoned to fight to the death. Both planeswalkers walk into the arena, but only one leaves with their sparks still ignited. The planeswalkers have chosen a commander to represent them and ensure their ability to lead through the blind eternities. Who will amass the greatest army and devastate the competition? Find out on Commander Duel!
WUBRG takes the first turn, passing after a land drop. Tyler plays Temple of Enlightenment, scrying to the top. WUBRG plays Balaged Recovery tapped. Tyler gains a life with his land and passes. WUBRG plays a Plains and casts Good Fortune Unicorn. Tyler plays another Temple, scrying to the bottom. Tyler taps out to cast Serene Master. WUBRG casts Wayfaring Temple, which enters with a +1/+1 counter from Good Fortune Unicorn. Tyler plays a land and passes turn. WUBRG casts Cultivate, putting a Plains in tapped. The other Plains goes to his hand, but he plays it as land for turn. Tyler plays a land, then taps for 5 to cast Dragon-style Twins. He keeps his defenses up and passes. WUBRG plays Field of Ruin as his land, and casts Path of Discovery. Tyler moves to combat and casts Tigum Strike on Dragon-style Twins, giving the creature +2/+0 and making the creature unblockable. This also triggers Prowess, and Tyler swings with a 6 double strike for 12 damage. WUBRG untaps and casts Captain's Calling, creating 3 1/1 white soldier tokens. Each creature gets a +1/+1 counter from Good Fortune Unicorn. Then each creature explores. The first soldier puts a forest into WUBRG's hand. The next gets an additional +1/+1 counter after WUBRG reveals exile from the top of his library. He keeps the card on top, giving the next soldier an additional +1/+1 counter. WUBRG plays the forest. He taps for 3 to cast Llanowar Visionary. He adds a counter from Good Fortune Unicorn, then stacks his trigger to explore, then draw. He once again reveals the exile, adding a counter, then drawing the card. WUBRG passes the turn without attacking. Tyler untaps and targets Dragon-style Twins with the Tigum Strike rebound trigger. He plays a Guildgate tapped. Tyler then casts Artful Maneuver on the Dragon-style Twins. He moves to combat and hits WUBRG with 9 double strike unblockable for 18 damage. WUBRG untaps and casts Leonin Warleader, adding a counter from Good Fortune Unicorn. He reveals a land from the Explore trigger, putting it into his hand. WUBRG swings with the Soldier tokens, and Tyler blocks a 3/3 with Serene Master, taking a total of 5 damage. Tyler targets Dragon-style twins with the Artful Maneuver Rebound trigger. It doesn't matter much, as he casts End Hostilities to wipe the board before combat. WUBRG plays a tapped land and gains a life. He casts Glorious Anthem, then his commander Shanna. Shanna explores, and WUBRG reveals Giant Ataphage, adding a counter to Shanna. WUBRG keeps the Ataphage on top of his library. Tyler casts his commander Narset, then passes. WUBRG casts Ageless Entity during his turn, revealing a plains from the Explore trigger and playing the plains as land for turn. Tyler casts Brave the Sands. He attacks with Narset, causing her ability to trigger. He exiles the top 4 cards of his library. He is now able to cast 3 of the spells without paying their mana cost. Tyler targets Narset with Defiant Strike, drawing a card. He also targets Narset with Shelter, making her protection from green. Finally, he targets Narset with Center Soul. WUBRG takes 4 commander damage from the attack. Second main phase, Tyler casts Lotus Eye Mystics, with no targets in the graveyard. WUBRG begins his turn casting the Giant Ataphage. The Explore trigger resolves, and he reveals Essence Warden, adding a counter to the Giant Ataphage. WUBRG swings with Ageless Entity for 5 damage. Tyler plays a land for turn. He casts Maul of the Skyclaves, which upon entering the battlefield, Tyler equips to Narset. Lotus Eye Mystics gets a Prowess trigger. Tyler reveals he will swing with Narset, and shows a Jeskai Charm from his hand before the attack trigger. WUBRG agrees to concede, and the players prepare to shuffle and start Game 2 of this best of 3. Heading into Game 2, WUBRG takes the first turn. Tyler plays a tapped land, gaining a life. WUBRG plays a plains and casts his commander Shanna. Tyler plays a tapped land, gaining another life. He taps 1 mana and casts Soul Ring. WUBRG hits his 3rd land drop and casts Thraben Doomsayer. He swings at Tyler for 2 commander damage. Tyler taps for 4 mana to cast Student of Ojutai. WUBRG casts Felidar Retreat. He taps Thraben Doomsayer to create a 1/1 white human creature token, and passes the turn. Tyler uses his turn to cast his commander Narset. WUBRG plays a land, triggering Felidar Retreat. He chooses to make a 2/2 white cat. He taps Thraben Doomsayer to create another human token. WUBRG moves to combat and swings with his commander for 5 commander damage. Tyler moves to his main phase and casts Jorian Ruin Diver. He also casts Banishing Light on Shanna, triggering Jorian and Student of Ojutai. Tyler draws a card and gains 2 life. WUBRG moves his commander to the command zone. Tyler moves to combat, swinging with Narset and Student of Ojutai. Narset triggers on attack, and Tyler casts Unleash Fury, targeting Narset, without paying the mana cost. Tyler also gains an additional 2 life. WUBRG takes 8 damage, 6 of it commander. WUBRG plays a land, making another cat token, and taps Thraben Doomsayer to make another human token. He taps 6 mana for Collective Blessing to give all of his creatures +3/+3. WUBRG swings with 2 human creature tokens and 1 cat creature token for 13 damage. Tyler casts Bloodwater Entity, choosing Unleash Fury in his graveyard to be put on top of his library. Tyler moves to combat and swings with Narset. From the 4 exiled cards, Tyler casts Feat of Resistance, adding a +1/+1 counter to Narset, drawing a card, and gaining 2 life. He then casts the Unleash Fury to double Narset's power, hitting WUBRG for 8 commander damage and gaining Tyler an additional 2 life. WUBRG uses his turn to tap Thraben Doomsayer to make another white human creature token and recasts his commander. During Tyler's turn, he moves directly to combat, swinging with Bloodwater Entity and Narset. Narset triggers on attack, but Tyler unluckily hits 4 lands to be exiled. WUBRG blocks Narset with his commander to kill Narset and take the entity damage. WUBRG plays a land for turn and chooses to give all of his creatures a +1/+1 counter from the Felidar Retreat trigger. He taps 3 to cast Wayfaring Temple. WUBRG uses his remaining mana to cast Leonin Warleader. He moves to combat and swings with his commander and 2 cat creature tokens. Tyler blocks the commander with Student of Ojutai and takes 12 damage from the tokens. Tyler uses his turn to recast Narset. He also casts Emerge Unscathed, targeting Jorian, triggering Bloodwater Entity's prowess, and drawing Tyler a card from the Jorian trigger. WUBRG casts Core Cartographer and puts a plains into play tapped to give all of his creatures an additional +1/+1 counter from the Felidar Retreat landfall trigger. He swings with all of his creatures and takes a victory in Game 2. Tyler takes our first turn in the final round, bursting through the door with a Mountain and Soul Ring. WUBRG plays a land for his turn. Tyler answers back with his own land drop, but still has no spells to cast. WUBRG hits a plains and casts his commander. Tyler casts Abbot of Carol Keep, exiling the top card of his library, but unfortunately, it isn't the land he needs, so he passes. WUBRG plays a plains and taps out to cast Reclamation Sage, targeting the Soul Ring to be destroyed for the ETB effect. Tyler plays a Mystic Monastery and passes his turn. WUBRG plays a land and casts Good Fortune Unicorn. He attacks with his commander, hitting Tyler for 3 commander damage. Tyler hits a plains for his land drop. He taps for 2 and casts Pacifism on Shanna before passing. WUBRG taps for 4 mana and casts Captain's Call, creating 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. The tokens all enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter thanks to Good Fortune Unicorn. WUBRG attacks with Reclamation Sage, hitting Tyler for 2 damage. Tyler casts Divination on his turn, drawing himself 2 cards. In an uneventful turn, WUBRG draws after upkeep, but passes without attacking and with no spells cast. Tyler casts his commander Narset and passes turn. During his end step, WUBRG taps for 4 mana and convokes 6 creatures to cast March of the Multitudes for X = 7. These 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink also gain an additional +1/+1 counter thanks to Good Fortune Unicorn. WUBRG untaps for his turn and casts Growing Ranks. He then moves to attacks and swings with 10 2/2s. Tyler blocks one of them with his first striking Narset, but ultimately takes 18 damage. Tyler responds by casting Oblivion Ring on Reclamation Sage and Stasis Snare on Good Fortune Unicorn. Abbot of Carol Keep gets pumped from the prowess triggers, and Tyler swings with both his creatures. On attack, Narset triggers, and Tyler hopes to get a board wipe. Unfortunately, he misses, but he's able to cast Brave the Sands, Center Soul, and Shelter. He gets 3 additional prowess triggers before damage, and draws a card. With no mana open, WUBRG resolves his Growing Ranks trigger and swings down at Tyler for 18 damage, thus ending our game. Thank you for watching another episode of Commander Duel. If you like what you saw, leave a like and subscribe, and let us know if we missed any triggers in the comments below. Don't forget to mention who you would like to see us build decks around, and we can feature it in a future episode. Thank you for watching as always. Until next time.